I am Dr. Zakir, Senior ENT Consultant. So the topic is acute sialadenitis, which means infection of the gland which produces saliva. So we have three different types of salivary glands. I'll give you a small introduction so that you can understand better. There are three types of salivary glands. One is a parotid, which is seen just below the ears. Second is submandibular gland, which is just below this jawbone. And the last is sublingual gland, which is below the tongue. So you have three on this side and three on the other side. So altogether, the secretion of the gland, it comes about approximately 1.5 liters. And the secretion, even the secretion differs. The parotid gland secretion, which is the gland which is below the ear, the secretion is little watery. So we call it a serous gland. But the sublingual gland, the gland which is below the tongue, which is mucus, it is more thicker. And as far as the submandibular gland is concerned, the secretion is mixed, means it is neither serous nor it is mucus. It is in between the secretion which comes from the parotid and sublingual. So the normal daily production of saliva, which I have already mentioned, is 1.5 liters approximately. Let me tell you a few functions of saliva. There are so many different functions. Let me tell you a few different functions. It prepares the food before swallowing, and to appreciate normal taste, the presence of saliva is most important. And it protects all the important structures which is there in the oral cavity. And to have a normal speech, saliva is most important. It regulates body temperature, and it plays a very important part in water balance of the body also. Not only that, it prevents demineralization of teeth. It helps in remineralization, and it has got antibacterial property and antifungal property too. And it has got diagnostic value, and it has got a buffer function too. These are the common functions. This I have already mentioned, that what is the type of secretion which you get from each gland. So, acute sialadenitis means acute infection of the salivary gland. It can be parotid gland or it can be submandibular gland. So, when you say sialadenitis, infection, it can be either viral or it can be bacterial. So, when it comes to bacteria, the most common organism, it can be Staphylococcus or it can be Streptococcus, any one of the first two. Now, this infection, acute sialadenitis, it is common in few conditions. Or what are the predisposing factors? One is post-operative period, especially so if the operation duration is long, say more than 3-4 hours. So we need to prepare the patient. We keep the patient nilperorally 4 to 6 hours before surgery, and sometimes we have to keep them nilperorally 1 or 2 days after surgery too, especially so after abdominal surgery. Not only that, from the anesthesia point of view, there's a second point, anesthesia point of view, they give atropine. So atropine, what it does is, it decreases the secretion, the salivary secretion. That also can add up to this. This is the first cause. Second is dehydration. Normally, we are supposed to take 2 liters of water. If you are dehydrated, the amount of saliva produced will be very less. So it prompts to infection. Then, if suppose there is calculus or stone formation in the duct which comes out of the gland, and it blocks the outflow of the saliva, and all the saliva gets blocked inside the gland, it invites infection. So these are the common causes. There are so many other, but these are the common causes. Now coming to the complaint of the patient. The patient says that he has got feverish feeling, or maybe he has got fever also, and body pain and weakness. Along with that, he says over the gland which is involved, say let it parotid gland, it is just below the ears, or if it is submandibular, like how I mentioned before, it's just below the jawbone. So he gets pain over the salivary gland, especially when he thinks about the food, or he smells good food, or when he starts his feed, starts taking food. So when at that time the swelling increases and he experiences pain. So when we examine the patient, he may have fever, and if the swelling is too much or the infection too much, he will not be able to open his mouth properly. And if when he tries to open the mouth, it can be painful. And suppose the infection is more, the skin over the swelling can be discolored, says reddish in color. I'll show you the picture of each. And sometimes when you massage the gland, we can see pus coming out from the duct of the concerned gland. So this is a picture which shows enlargement of the parotid gland, and the skin over the swelling is red in color. And in this patient, it has progressed to abscess formation too. And this patient is not able to open her mouth properly. And here when you massage the parotid gland, you can see pus coming out from the opening of the duct, as you see here. This is a photograph and this is a picture. So these are the common findings. So coming to the investigation. Normally when it is a first episode, when we call it acute salidinitis, and it is straightforward with a patient history and examination, we can go into treatment. But sometimes it so happens that they visit some other doctor and he has already taken a course of antibiotic and they come to me or they come to us. Then what I usually prefer is, if there is pus, I would like to take a swab of the pus so that I can do a gram stain and culture and sensitivity to find out which organism and to give which particular specific antibiotic. The second one is ultrasound. From ultrasound, I want to know the enlargement of the gland and if there is any cause for it, like is there any calculus or not, or any mass or not, or if it progressed to cellulitis or swelling or a abscess formation. This is what I am looking for. Sometimes we need a CT scan, but I do prefer ultrasound more than CT scan. And coming to the fourth test, which is fine needle aspiration, where we put a small needle into the gland, take our cell, but usually this is never done for an acute case unless it is indicated. Here, when I say fine needle aspiration, this is indicated in few conditions, which I'll tell you later. So in short, first visit, straightforward case, no investigations. If not, pus is still there, patient has already taken course of antibiotic, take pus for culture sensitivity and ultrasound. That will be more than enough. And when you do a blood test, it will show the total blood count is higher up, is gone up. And coming to treatment. So we advise the patient to drink lot of water, hydrate the patient well. Second is you have to do mouth gargle properly, either with salt water or dilute hydrogen peroxide or chlorhexidine. But you see to it, you gargle at least for 30 seconds and spit it out. You can do it at least 2 or 3 times daily. And I will advise you that you massage the concerned gland at least 4-5 times, once in the morning, once in the night. Repeat in the night also. And it is better that you apply warm fomentation over the gland, that also twice daily. This is what we expect from you to do. Now, from our side, we'll give you a course of antibiotic, maybe one or maybe a combination of antibiotic along with painkillers. Sometimes what happens is we need a small surgery, but in 90% of the patients, usually acute salidinitis is managed only with antibiotic. So what is the role of surgery? When in spite of adequate antibiotic, 5 days good antibiotic coverage, the patient has not improved and it becomes worse, then we have to drain. Not only that, suppose, I'll give you a few more indications, like suppose the infection is the parotid gland and there is a nerve which goes through the parotid gland. That's called the facial nerve, which supplies the muscles of the face. So the patient with acute parotitis, the infection of the parotid gland, and in the subsequent days, in spite of antibiotic, he gets facial nerve involvement. In that case also, we need to do a small surgery. The other indication being the CT scan or ultrasound shows a clear-cut abscess formation. In that case also, we need to do a surgery. Now, sometimes what happens, in spite of giving a good antibiotic coverage, the patient improves temporarily and again it comes back. So it comes as maybe 2 or 3 times. So we need to, and the CT scan and the ultrasound shows there is no abscess formation, there is no cellulitis and no stone formation, calculus formation also. In that case, what we have in our mind, so we have to rule out whether it is lymphoma, which is one type of malignancy, or it can be infection like Atkins disease. There are so many other infections, giving you just few common conditions, or it can be a Sjogren syndrome, which is an autoimmune disease. So these are the few conditions where we can confirm. To start with, we can confirm by doing a fine needle aspiration, which means we put a small needle into the concerned gland, ultrasound guided, and take out the cells and send it for cytology. So this is how we manage acute salivary rhinitis. Thank you so much.